So, insanely enough, it was over 20 years ago that we ended up getting MX Unleashed, which is probably one of the greatest games honestly ever made. I think a lot of people could agree with that. But what's kind of insane though is you didn't really want to stop playing this game, man. I mean, a lot of people still talk about MX Unleashed to this day, and the funniest part is you literally just want to have fun on this game. And after revisiting this game on the Series X, I saw this on the store, guys, and I had to jump right onto it because this was one of my favorite games. I played it so much with my brother back in the day, but it really did make me realize something, though. This game really understood the fun factor even better than modern racing games. Now, the first thing I want to mention though is I'm sure a lot of people know this, but a lot of these games on the Series X, aka the Xbox in general, are also enhanced. So if you guys did want to play MX Unleashed and you obviously do not have a PS2, or maybe you didn't want to deal with how the PS2 graphics look back in the day, personally, I still enjoy it. But on the Series X, though, this game is also 4K or at least HD enhanced, similar to Burnout Revenge. So it honestly looks very good. It's pretty amazing how I think they could probably do this with every single old game, and they would probably take over most of the new games. But a lot of things about MX Unleashed really kind of just almost stuck with people in a way, because even today, a lot of people are still talking about MX Unleashed, saying even the newer games can't keep up with it, or it's way better than modern racing games or even motocross games and all that. MX Unleashed somehow 20 years ago was able to do things that even the new games can't do. Personally, guys, the handling in MX Unleashed, I absolutely loved it. I love being able to whip and the way the bikes felt and all that. The funniest part about this, though, is you probably wouldn't expect this from a game from 2004ish or 2005. Like, you'd probably expect it to not be all that great, or, you know, rough around the edges, but somehow they really captured this game so dang great, and the handling honestly blew me away. I love the way the bikes felt in this game, going over jumps, going faster, accelerating on the 450s, or even riding the 125s, and the bike sounds also sound amazing in this game, which is kind of hilarious because you would think that maybe they wouldn't sound as good, but somehow the newer games have worse sounding bike sounds, bro. And I really don't understand it. I really don't. I don't know how they actually sound worse than they did before. Some of the other things I loved about MX Unleashed, oh man, where do I even start? The freestyle tracks were so dang fun, dude. Y'all remember driving to the end of those tracks and completely getting launched all the way back? Man, I absolutely loved it. I'll play a clip of that of me on a bike and also a trophy truck so you guys could just laugh at this. But what's kind of wild to me, though, is even jumping back on MX Unleashed and doing all these old tracks and jumping on the freestyle areas and all that and just riding around. It's insane how much I really used to ride around on these. I literally would come home from school and just ride around on these big open trails for a while, going over jumps, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And don't even get me started on the vehicles that you could also use. Playing this on the Series X and seeing the detail of every single vehicle. As y'all know, we had the monster truck, which personally is probably one of my favorites. I think that might be like top 2 for me in this game. It was so dang fun to use. It was so dang fast. It jumped over literally everything. And also racing that thing was kind of wild because you pretty much had to get the correct routes on it or it would basically smash you if you were even barely touching it. The other side of that, we also had the helicopter, which was very fun to use. And somehow they captured the handling of the helicopter better than newer games, man. And to be real, I still don't understand that. How something like the Crew can't get the handling right on a plane or a helicopter, but I could go jump on MX Unleashed and the plane and the helicopter on there somehow feel amazing. And racing that helicopter was also a very fun experience, not gonna lie there. The other part of that, though, is we also have the biplane, as I mentioned before. The biplane was super fun to just do flips and kind of spin it around and just fly around the maps with it. Easily one of my favorite vehicles, and also racing that was kind of insane. Going over jumps and seeing the biplane kind of just fly around like that racetrack thing was pretty insane. We also then have the buggy, guys. The buggy was super cool. I also did like the map there. That map was really cool because, for one, it was, you know what, actually, let me say that. Every single map also felt different with how they were designed. I did like how the roads also had the trucks with like the jumps you can go into. Some had like the circular silo thingy, or like the piping thing you could go in and then hit the jump off of it, and then you can hit the other truck and hit that jump. I was doing that with the buggy, and it was instantly making me go, dang, I remember playing this game so much back in the day and doing this. And the game hooked me for like 4 hours, bro. I didn't even want to get off of it, just on the freestyle maps, messing around. I then did end up jumping into the career, which I'll talk about that in a second. And then the final one was the trophy truck as well. The trophy truck was an absolute monster. It was so quick. And that was the funny thing, is I drove that to the end of the map. I would jump on the roads and go as fast as I could with it. Man, the nostalgia in MX Unleashed, or just playing some of these old games, just dig up so many memories, man. It's absolutely wild to me, because it kind of brings you to a simpler time, you know what I mean? But also, it brings you to a time where games just seem to be better, which is insane. The other part I loved about MX Unleashed is, now don't get me wrong, guys, you could easily just use cheat codes on basically everything in this game if you wanted to. And funny part is, I went on the Series X to see if they also would work. And if you are wondering, yes, all the cheat codes literally still work in MX Unleashed. You can get all the bikes instantly if you want, all the tracks unlocked, and if you guys want to do that. Or you could simply go through the entire story mode and unlock everything legitimately and stuff like that, earn all the vehicles, be able to buy them if you do want to play the game like that. So at least there is both options, but going through and being able to unlock every single bike and then going through the story and all that, using the lower level bikes, getting the bigger bikes afterwards, and then eventually getting a fast enough bike to go to your first freestyle map to race one of the vehicles and beat it, and then be able to use it, is just so dang fun, dude. I really do kind of wish newer racing games in general kind of took an initiative to really try to do a progression standpoint a little bit better. Now, I'm not saying MX Unleashed was the best ever, but we all do know old games in general tended to have a better progression system. Now, the one thing about MX Unleashed that I absolutely loved is simply down to the overall personality of this game, dude. I mean, the way you unlock stuff, the way the tricks worked, all the weird stuff you can mess around with in this game, finding different tracks and all that, and then figuring out how to get the right lines on them, jumping over to these supercross tracks and trying to become the fastest on those, and then also getting better at doing the tricks. And then the funny part is trying to do the whips and all that better, realizing that you can use the clutch and fly out of turns faster. It really is kind of crazy to me how much the older games, especially something like MX Unleashed, is still trying to almost be replicated now because of how great the design and the personality of the game. Like, seriously, guys, think about that. I saw a lot of people talking about MX vs. ATV Legends, which I even got that game to play it a little bit, as I also wanted to see how the game was. Now, I don't hate it. I think the game's actually fairly solid now and pretty fun. But if you were to play that and then play something like MX Unleashed, they were even trying to get the newer games set up like MX, I think it's MX vs. ATV Reflex, I believe it's called. They were trying to set it up like that, or even how MX Unleashed was. Like, guys, we are getting a new game released in 2026 or 27, you know, just throwing that out there. And people are like, man, I wish the way the bike felt and the way how the handling was from MX Unleashed. It's like, that's wild to me that people still want that to be replicated. But it shows you the impact this game really did have. Even 20 years later, people are still looking for that. And y'all know what's kind of wild to me, which this part, I'm probably going to end up mentioning this in other videos, as I've been really getting hit by this so much with these old games, dude, is the fact that they did not need weekly updates to keep you in the game, man. No, the overall fun factor of these old games, which I have a whole separate video coming on this, they literally keep you into the game by just being fun and the gameplay just keeping you locked in. Like, back on MX Unleashed, you weren't getting weekly updates or something, or a weekly summit design or something like that on an MX game from 2004. No, bro, that was not a thing. Instead, it was just a pure fun overall gameplay. The soundtrack hitting you completely always keeps you locked into that game. And it's kind of wild because every old game, when I think about it, they all kind of did the same thing, man. None of them really focused on that, but that is something I'm definitely going to have to touch on in a separate video, because my goodness, guys, jumping back on MX Unleashed, if you guys haven't done it yet and you're thinking about trying some old games on the Xbox, This game, I believe, is 15 bucks. I got it for $3.74 on a sale. As I was looking at it, I'm like, nope, give me that. I bought it immediately. I played it for like 3 or 4 hours, and I've been jumping on it here and there almost weekly because it's just so dang fun to go back to, hearing the sounds of the bikes, just seeing the overall fun factor of this game. But I think one of the biggest things is, though, is simply down to the feeling that it gives you again, but also kind of bringing you back into that time, which is something I think is good. Kind of reminiscing in that maybe it could bring back some great memories, hopefully, you know what I'm saying? You jump on there, think about the times where you would play that from school or come home and want to jump on MX and just race and stuff. And then also realizing that you have these big open areas, like the big freestyle type of things. You can just mess around, drive some of the vehicles, and also go in there with some of your friends and just mess around. And the coolest part is the fact that the physics weren't even like super realistic, bro. They were just fun, and that shows you how enjoyable it really can be. It doesn't need to be super realistic, but just fun, man. Ain't that the wildest thing? The overall sense of progression in the game, getting better vehicles, or hey, throw in some cheat codes like the San Andreas days, bro, and jump right in. That's all you really need to do. But you guys know what? I can keep yapping about this. MX Unleashed, even today, really does hold up so dang well. And seeing this game on the Series X with like the 4K enhancement honestly blew my mind away. Like, it looks so dang great, almost modernized basically, which it pretty much is. And I really do wish after playing MX Unleashed that other games would take the exact same approach, because I guarantee you every single old game would sell like absolute hotcakes if they did the exact same thing here. Do let me know what y'all think about MX Unleashed compared to like the new racing games or the new motocross style games. It really is mind-blowing to me how great these old games are compared to the new ones, and the fact that people are constantly comparing them should tell you everything that you need to know at this point.